Okay, starting now.
Welcome to another Optimity webinar, where we are exploring exciting topics in health innovation, cutting-edge technologies, and living well. You are joined by hundreds of people like yourself who are interested in learning more about employee health and wellness. Welcome. May is Global Employee Health and Fitness Month, which focuses on health and fitness in the workplace. The goal of Global Employee Health and Fitness Month is to promote the benefit of a healthy lifestyle to employers and their employees through worksite health promotion activities and the environment. So for this month's webinar, we wanted to spread the importance of incorporating an effective workplace wellness program. And I'm your host, Tasneem, welcoming you to this community webinar on the important topic of employee health and wellness. Here with me to chat about this topic is our CEO, Jane. Thanks for joining me today on sharing some of our best practices. Welcome.
Hello. Perfect. So today is a mini challenge for all of you is to sit up straight and listen to this webinar with a big smile on your face because we hope to brighten up your day as well.
Sounds good. A little bit of a background about us and our professional experience. Jane spent almost a decade in health management with patients from clinical research. Her expertise are in adherence, helping patients prevent adverse events with daily micro-interactions. And I'm Tasneem. I'm a wellness advisor at Optimity, creating content for specialized topics for our clients to address chronic health issues. My background is in health policy, and I'm passionate about health equity. My dream is to eliminate social and economic barriers that restrict someone from getting access to the right information and care to obtain their optimal health. As the hundreds of guests arrive, I want to take a moment to go over some housekeeping items to give you the best webinar experience. Please connect to audio using your computer's microphone and speakers, or select Use Telephone after joining the webinar to turn on sound. And as always, all guest lines are muted to avoid background noise. If you have any questions, please type it in and we will get back to you after the webinar. After the webinar, the slides and recording will be sent out to you to share with others. And there are two handouts from this session. There are two studies from Aon Hewitt on employee engagement, best practice tips from best employers, and 2018 global trends on the employee engagement. They are downloadable in the tools section. Now that we've gone over our ground rules, let's begin. At Optimity, we provide a dynamic wellness tool to engage people like yourself in achieving optimal health. In fact, Optimity means the state of being best. We provide a mobile app that is personalized to you, your job function, your gender, and as well as your own health goals. We support you with a robust and holistic health content library spanning everything from physical exercise, nutrition, mental health, to financial wellness. We also recommend activities to you based on other people like yourself, so people with similar jobs, similar personalities, and similar goals. You can access the Pocket Coach via any mobile device or via our website. It is a pocket health coach that syncs with your calendar. It gives you small, fun challenges, which earns you improvements in health and awareness, and also gets you points for rewards. And of course, a lot of bragging rights. The reason we provide webinars is because we want to help address some key issues in proactive health coaching, such as low participation, poor adherence, and no adaptation of the program based on the person you are. We provide a fully integrated health coaching solution that turns raw data into insight and helpful daily tips. And we have achieved over 77% participation in 2016 and 2017. Our weekly adherence rate is averaged at 43%, which means people are able to use the technology consistently and change their lives and habits bit by bit, every day, every week, leading to better health. We adapt the program to popular topics and your interests on the go. So today, we will be sharing our knowledge and giving you useful tips on employee health and wellness that you can take back with you to your organization and use yourself, even if you don't yet have Optimity. Firstly, we want to get to know you a bit better, and wellness often can help solve a number of business issues. At Optimity, we run focused wellness programs, so with a quick poll, let's surface up some of the top problems you are trying to address in your organization. So what's the biggest issue you are tackling with your wellness? So select one of more of the following: employee engagement, high benefit costs, high turnover. Is it a rise in short-term disability or long-term disability, or is it absenteeism and productivity? Okay, so employee engagement is huge. So a lot of you are trying to tackle employee engagement. There's 76% of you. And right behind that is absenteeism and productivity. We hope today you'll walk away with a lot of helpful tips and suggestions that you can take back with you to incorporate. So, on today's agenda, we will share facts on the importance of workplace wellness programs, the top 3 best practice tips for employee engagement, which a lot of you are really eager to learn about, and the use of technology to manage a healthy lifestyle. So, Jane, do you want to tell us more about why a workplace wellness program is so important?
Sure. Sounds good. Yeah, it's so interesting because all of you have already surfaced up the fact that employee engagement is one of the top topics of why wellness programs are implemented. With the modernization of the workforce, it also means the modernization of how you support and manage and train that workforce. And I think wellness is just a great way of training, micro training, right, your people. It really helps them take on the habits, and that improves their own personal productivity, making them less likely to get sick, especially from the chronic health issues, which really racks up the health costs. It also has a lot to do with building a community, right? For me, it's about building a stronger culture with a team of people, like-minded people, focused. It helps you retain talent, have happier people, and is a positive spiral up to running a great organization. It, as a side benefit, also enhances your corporate image, a long-term interest to promoting health alongside your peers. So corporate wellness programs are often worth the time and effort invested in them. The success record of companies utilizing programs is really kind of about measuring the employees' morale, their engagement numbers, and also measuring the quantitative numbers of the number of days that they stay away from work due to illness and stayed employed with the company for a very long time. Let me share some numbers with you. This first one, so we often, kind of think about where the numbers are coming from. So the first one, if you really kind of think about it, is really kind of the cost of unhealthy employees. And this is the North American numbers. This is kind of wrapping in all those absenteeism, additional health costs, and things like that. Very, very expensive. The second number, if you haven't guessed it, is kind of the number of organizations that believe the employee wellness and health could really help improve corporate performance. So, I mean, the C-suite understand the statistic, they understand the number, they understand the theory, but we're going to go we're going to zoom out of that and look at the reality of the current challenges that we do face as an organization. And then the third part is really focusing on, you know, the employee performance. How much can you measure? So 2 times is actually what the Willis Towers Watson study has shown, that we can improve the employee performance. So with the growing focus on employee health, corporate wellness programs are increasing by the number of days. Research is showing that individuals, so employees, people who exercise frequently, stay at home from work on average of 2.11 days compared to 3.06 days, which is a day less than individuals who do not exercise. This statistics alone are stressing the importance of just being physically active and how that could actually change attendance. So it makes sense that you guys are looking at absenteeism and productivity too as your number 2. Wellness programs that demonstrate to the employees that health is important also shows that the employers, of course, care about this aspect as well. A lot of the stats in the last year are showing the incurrence of lower healthcare costs for employees who are more active versus a sedentary, up to 31%. And almost 50% of the health costs that are incurred due to illness can be avoided with lots of small lifestyle changes, which is what we focus our time on in Optimity. The corporations like yourself have really started to realize the importance of healthy employees, and are working to encourage and incentivize these employees to make those changes. So today I'm going to do a quick poll again. We're going to kind of just get to know, I know there's a lot of science behind the wellness programs, but many organizations haven't just had a chance to implement and get there yet. So the last Gartner study says that although only 15% of organizations have wellness programs, so that 70% are considering them for 2017 and 2018. So let's put that to the test here. The quick poll here is, do you currently have a wellness program? Really interesting here. Yes, this is, I mean, it kind of is saying that the Gartner Wellness study is true. That's over 70% of the folks here are already, you know, having wellness programs in their organization. So this actually makes this conversation a really worthwhile one. So thank you. That's wonderful. Perfect. So as a organization, some of the ways that workplace wellness program benefit the employees. So we kind of think about the stuff for the employees and also for the employers, and it's 2 sides of the coin. For both, it's beneficial. So it's really truly a win-win situation. As an employee, a lot of the part about wellness program is really about my engagement. So we're going to kind of peel back the onion a little bit about the employee engagement. What does that mean to an individual? So as a definition, employee engagement is a workplace approach resulting in a high condition of all the members of the organization to give their best each day, to commit to your organizational values, your goals, to stay motivated to contribute to the organizational success, and to enhance their own sense of well-being. So for the employee engagement is really about one's understanding of their role in the organization, being excited and energized about where that fits into the organizational purpose and objectives. But on a day-to-day basis, it's really about getting up in the morning and thinking, hey, great, I'm going to work. I'm going to do what I'm going to do today. I got some great ideas on how I'm going to do it really well. I'm looking forward to seeing the team and helping them work well every day, right? But for that, you need to kind of line up the clear understanding of how our organization is fulfilling its purpose and objectives. So, you know, being excited, energized, and all that links back to the individual themselves. Because when you look at the individual themselves, when we look at the people from the lens of wellness, it comes with more of an understanding of where they sit in their living situation, right? What their job position is, what their financial situation is. It's not just the easy thing where, oh, you know, you're at this level, you're a senior team lead, therefore you get these things. I think a lot of it actually has to do with really kind of designing the program based on their demographic. So that's what we do to help them with their daily routines. We kind of understand their age, what are they going through, right? Do they have children? Where do they live? What's their financial situation? When we design the program, we actually pull it back even more. We look at their wellness habits, right? Are they truly sedentary? And I mean, the best case here are they want to do more, right? So most of, you know, here I'm kind of unpacking two cases where, right, it's a new manager, she has a young family, and with that, she wants more. She wants to engage more in current activities. She has some examples that she wants to do, such as walking, stretching. So it's about how can we design a program that helps her do these little adjustments to her that she needs. The general HAL, so this is their health type of their lifestyle. So for her, she wants to do more, but it's not so important because she's still building her family, and there's a number of exercises she wants. So understanding her profile, we can tackle it with programs that are more focused on the 9 to 5, small breaks at work, little things that's about stretching and yoga that actually plays into her natural affinity towards running and these type of kind of low impact exercises. We're going to unpack the second type of profile here, and it's just an example. We have literally like 20 something of these type of profiles, but the second type, you know, he's kind of he has a senior team lead role, a little bit more financially has a more bandwidth, but you can see here he's coming from a company that doesn't have corporate wellness. Currently, he's not really engaged. He just, when he thinks about wellness, he's just thinking about it as a subsidized gym, training, golf even. But there are things he does think is important, but he's not really kind of active at work. So this type of people, especially in their 40s, is a great target for wellness programs because you're kind of getting his awareness up. He may not even be aware of the things that he could be doing. So when we design a full organization program, is not just looking at their job, looking at their seniority, but we take a look at kind of a holistically, where do these people live, what are their lives like, and be able to do a program and design engagement in a way that's holistic and thinks about them as people. I hope that makes sense. As an employer, employee engagement, of course, I don't have to talk about this much because, you know, seeing a lot of you are already you're implementing these programs, you understand the importance of getting the right attitude, and it's about a workplace approach, helping people be the best selves, right, and linking them up with the groups, with the group. So it's about them feeling a sense of pride and loyalty, working for your organization, being a great advocate of the organization to the clients, to the users, to the customers, to empower them to go an extra mile and to finish any pieces of work that's given to them. So it's about drawing on your employees' knowledge and ideas and improving the sense of their contribution to the work, to the organization's product and services. Engaged employees are you know, sometimes not, it's hard to get a really big number, right? So Gallup's most recent global research finds that only 13%, so 13% of the employees worldwide are truly engaged at work. According to the latest State of American Workplace report, just 33% of the employed residents in the United States are engaged at work. And the engaged workers stand apart from their not engaged or actively disengaged, which is the worst, counterpart because of the discretionary effort that they're consistently bringing in to their roles. And this is where innovation happens. This is where the extra excellence really happens for the product or for the customer service, right? So these employees are willing to go the extra mile. They work with passion. They feel profoundly connected to the company, and they're the people who drive your business forward. The contrasting this with this actively disengaged employee who are more or less out to active disengagement means they're out to damage your company. Oftentimes they, because they're unhappy at work, their intent is to act out their unhappiness. They monopolize the manager's time and they drive away customers. What the engaged employees do, such as solving problems, innovate, creating new customers, the actively disengaged employee work to undermine. So they're the people who are kind of out there and saying, oh, it's horrible to work here. They're the people on Glassdoor who are leaving you horrible reviews, right? So it's important to spot them. And oftentimes you can, what could help with the not engaged employees is, the greatest untapped opportunity for businesses to improve their performance and profitability. The not engaged workers can, they're often hard to spot. They're not overtly hostile or disruptive, or they're likely to just do just enough to fulfill their job requirements, but you can see them sleepwalking kind of through their work day. They're not inspired, they lack motivation, they have little or no concern about the customer productivity, profitability. They're thinking about, lunch, their next break, and they've basically essentially checked out. But the majority of the global workforce is kind of in this space, right? They're not engaged. Most employees are reluctant to head to work. They lack the energy. They lack the passion for their jobs. Converting this group of employees into engaged workers is probably the most effective strategy for any organization. And this is where wellness programs can help. I want to share a little bit more stats with you here. The work units in the top quartile of the employee engagement outperform the bottom quartile by 10% on customer ratings, 17% on productivity, 20% on sales, 21% on profitability. So these work units in the top quartile is also showing significantly less turnover. So 24% in the highest turnover organization, and 59% in the lowest turnover, low turnover organizations. Of course, there's like shrinkage and absenteeism. I want to mention absenteeism here because we also mentioned it as a number 2 topic here. 41%, right? So you can see that it's really worthwhile to kind of get the top quartile. The fewer and also fewer safety incidents, 70%. So that's really contributing to a lot of the health costs. We talked about short-term and long-term disability. It didn't surface up as a number 1 or 2, but I think it's really close. It's the third most important. We're going to share the poll results later as well. So in the 2016 meta-analysis, it verified again that employee engagement relates to 9 of the performance outcomes studied. Gallup also finds that there's a strong correlation between engagement and performance are highly consistent across different organizations from diverse industries and regions in the world. I'm happy to share this with you. There is, as Tasneem mentioned, there are 2 studies in the handout section that you could just download. Would be happy to share any of these studies with you. So what can we do about it? So, as often we do with the webinars, we always share practical tips. The first one is really about investing in the employees, letting them know that, they need to know that they're valued. And Wellness Program does a really good job of doing this because a lot of them, you can give them incentives. It's not a huge spend. It's really kind of anywhere between $5 to $100 a year, and it really makes people feel like they're valued. It's kudos and it's monetary. When the organizations invest in their staff, it kind of changes the way that the staff feels, right? So it helps them kind of engage in their work more, wanting to do more. But I think the more important thing here is getting them on track of self-training. So feeling less of the victim type of approach to the employer. Oh, the employer should do this for me, should do that. I think it's more about getting the employees to take charge, to really focus on their own locus of control, and on a daily basis they can go somewhere, there's a place for them where they can learn and they can really upgrade their learnings. As they're learning, they're also learning how to be well. Many people think, oh yeah, like I'll just eat more vegetables and all that stuff, but there's a lot of science to it, and that's why there's a gigantic industry of health. You know, well-being, it's also, for me, it's really kind of a compass for your self-esteem, right? When you're feeling well, you're looking good, you're healthy, you're sleeping well, you're energized, your emotions, your relationship, your stress level, your sense of stability changes. A lot of wellness is kind of focused on physical. So, you know, there's a lot of the weight management programs out there, but I think it's equally important to really kind of focus on mental and just the overall health. Wellness programs are kind of key to building a productive and resilient workforce. A confident and stress-free employee is so much more likely to be focused and enthusiastic about their work than someone who's consistently burnt out or uneasy at work. In fact, when the employees suffer from low levels of well-being, they lose more than a quarter of their potential productivity. And we all know this too, right? The days that we didn't sleep well, the days where we're really stressed, where we don't do as much as we normally would if we're just in our best state of flow. I'm going to break down the focus, the second point, kind of into two parts that we can help you do. One is focusing on nutrition in the workplace. Eating well is a big part. I mean, that's where your energy comes from, especially immediately, right? I mean, we can do weight loss, but that takes you know, a number of days. I think nutrition is a really big one. Focusing what they eat, helping them understand what to bring to the workplace, and if you do offer a snacks or a meal program, to offer things that are not just carb based. I can't tell you, you know, how often people have these like sugar rushes and these coffee rushes, and then they get worse. So customer service basically gets worse after 2 p.m. and on. So it's really focusing on giving them protein, giving them things that have long burn ratio. So it's called low GI, so low glucose index. And something that burns through a longer period of time. It actually helps, you know, have less stress. The benefits promoting nutrition at your workplace, I mean, you've heard the saying, you are what you eat, but a lot of the recent studies are showing us that what we're eating is not right. In fact, most Canadian adults are not even meeting the minimum servings recommended for our daily food practice on a daily basis. So since the average of most of us spend about 60% of our waking hours at work, it stands to reason that the workplace is a good place to encourage healthy eating. If you want to find some good resources for it, the Region of Peel tool of healthy eating at work is a really great one. Employees who eat well at the office often also feel a sense of energy. I do think that there is a very strong correlation between workplace access to food to how the employees consume them. So it may make sense for you to take a quick inventory around the either food court options or grocery store options and different things that's available around your workplace to try to help suggest healthy lunch places and healthy options for them to get their food sources, because this will in turn help your employees reduce their chance of obesity, heart disease, stroke, diabetes. I could go on. The second thing that I would suggest for a wellness program that helps with the general physical well-being is the physical exercise in the workplace. I mean, my challenge for you for this webinar is to sit up straight and smile. I don't know how you guys are doing right now on that challenge, but those little physical things, engaging your core, right? Just little nudges, having someone remind you to sit up straight is really helpful. It decreases susceptibility to a lot of chronic disease. And we're not even talking about chronic disease as in diabetes, right? Those things for sure. But I'm talking about things that's like back pain, right? I can't tell you how many people talk to us about back pain and pain management, joint pain, because the fact that they're not doing their back exercises, they're not doing these things during the 60% of the time they're spending at work. So helping them do that is really, really important. For you, for the employer, it'll lower health costs, it'll be less sick leave, it'll be more productivity at work. The last part is often super neglected, but I do think it's super important. It plays to the theme of employee engagement. A Gallup survey reveals that close relationships friendships at work boosts the employee satisfaction by 50%, so 50%. People with close friend at work is 7 times more likely to engage fully with their work. So it's a really effective way to really boost productivity, but at the same time reduce your churn, right? So an effective way to build friendships with coworkers, to create a schedule of fun activities, team building days. The goal is to create an environment where it's organic and natural to foster friendships and develop, allowing these things to develop naturally. The last case study that I'm going to share with you is one by Aon Hewitt. It's available in the handout section. It discusses a positive impact on the organization where the employer focuses on employee engagement strategies. You guys have talked about engagement as your top thing. I think it is really important. The best employers make employee engagement a business priority. So employee engagement is a rational, emotional, motivational state that leads to the employee's higher level of performance, right? So the best employers are seeing really good changes in productivity, roughly about 20% more engaged employees than the average company, as illustrated by the following chart. But what do those numbers mean for the employers, right? So there's a lot of numbers here. If you think about it like this, a best employer with 30,000 employees has roughly 6,000 more employees that's going above and beyond in their job to serve their customers, to drive efficiency, or to innovate than the average company. That's 6,000 heads, 6,000 smart people that's helping you do things. Imagine the impact of that on your business. If 20% of your employees, even if your company is 100 people, right? 20% more people, that's 20 more people you don't have to hire, but they're outputting more for your business. So we're going to do our third and final poll here. And this is really kind of around, we talked generally about wellness programs and practices that you can do without digital, but I also want to know what your experience is with digital, because we all know that digital is a way of enhancing scalability, making it less expensive to be useful for more people. So the poll here is about your experience with digital. Okay, perfect. We're going to close the poll now and share the results with you. So as you can see, this is super interesting because it's kind of split, right? There is a little bit more people that are kind of seen demos but haven't seriously assessed, or they've only heard a few, and there are people who do have experience. And this is about right. This is almost exactly right on the nose for the Gartner study earlier, where it was talking about only 15% of the organizations have wellness programs, and then 70% are looking to implement. I do see a lot of people that are implementing the first version of it, but this is kind of wellness 2.0, right? Going digital using technology is the new way of doing it faster and more efficiently in this new modern era. So that's really interesting. So Taz, I'm going to turn it back to you to share some of the things around technology and the best uses.
Thanks, Jane. So as we saw from that, 43% of you have seen the technology, seen demos of like technology wellness programs being used, but haven't really, bit the bullet yet. Hopefully, when we go through this, you'll probably get a little bit more insight into why technology is so important. Despite implementing wellness and engagement programs in an intent to reduce costs, most companies in North America are struggling to turn good intentions into good results. Like we mentioned, the average participation rate of corporate wellness programs is below 30%. And many organizations do not have the capability to track metrics or ROI. So you might be wondering, how can a company with the will to make a positive change actually make it happen? Well, the first step for most companies is to find a wellness program to provide that offerings of a dynamic and innovative health risk assessment. So that's an HRA. An effective HRA will allow the wellness program to understand the nuance of an individual's statistical situation. They will collect their key biometric data and health information. With the rise of artificial intelligence, it's allowed us to integrate wellness systems to the information produced by the HRA and use it to automatically create a tailored program for the individual. In the past, putting together the strategy and the logistics to tailor wellness content took a lot of resource and would be impossible for most companies given the average HR leader to an employee ratio. Normally you have 600 employees to about a handful of HR leaders. It's really hard to do. Only in the last year or so have HR leaders had the access to the technology to create rules-based tailoring and targeting, which gives the individual the power to create true and meaningful change. And I wanted to share, here I have 2 examples from the app of activities that relate to best practice techniques for employees. And the first one is nutrition tips. The one around protein, this one's around protein. This specific activity is a camera challenge that asks the users to take a picture of their protein in their meal to help encourage protein intake with each meal. As we all know from our past nutrition webinars and some of the blogs that we've uploaded on the Up2Me blog, protein is essential for muscle development, but also for keeping you fuller longer. So that helps prevent obesity. If you have more protein in your meals, you're more likely to feel hungry throughout the day. So this simple activity, like asking you to take pictures of your meal with the protein side, will help as a reminder. And the camera challenge helps encourage accountability. So, sometimes you might say, oh, I did that. Well, if you take the picture, we know you did that. And it's a lot fun to see, your colleagues post these pictures on the newsfeed, you see what they're up to. And honestly, I get really excited when I see maybe Jane post her lunch and it's looking really healthy. It encourages me to be really healthy as well. The second activity I have here is physical activity challenge in the workplace. As we mentioned earlier, exercise is crucial for maintaining a healthy life and preventing chronic illness. It's especially important for employers to find fun ways to get their employees moving, as the exercise not only helps with their health, but it brings down health costs for the organization. And it also boosts mood and productivity, leading to more engaged workforce. The activity I have here is a sit-up challenge, and I don't know if you can see this, but it says level 4. So a lot of activities we provide, it comes as a mini course, which essentially helps you build up progress in both physical and mental challenges. We challenge the individual to work harder and to continue to grow, which is why gradually progression, where some activities get harder, it helps to keep the employee engaged and motivated. You might get tired of the basic sit-ups that you decide you don't want to do it anymore. With this, you're gradually progressing. So each time you do a new one, it's getting harder and you're getting more excited to play along. Admin Control is a centralized hub that helps you manage rewards. It helps you claim insights, to customize content, to get insights into the population, the analytics, and the return on investments and measurement. This is really important for employers, since employers get to see the real-time data on engagement of employees' health behaviors at an aggregated level. It provides you with real-time data of their health increasing, their participation, and also the engagement. So one of the tools that I also find very essential that I mentioned earlier is the HRA and retargeting function. Employees can take an HRA test, which helps produce a health grade to see where the employees are at. So what the employers can see from this is how many employees completed the test, which areas are a high impact issue that employers can help address. Previously with other traditional approaches to wellness programs, you don't get these insights. So this is really, really important. So Jane, do you want to share some insights you have with the organizations you've worked with?
Sure. We publish a number of case studies as well as results at the end of each year. So most of them are around different types of metrics that we track. So if you want to see that, you can go into our Learn modules and kind of go through them. Oftentimes we're focusing on kind of the claims cost, benefits cost, change in participation, change in engagement, change in the user, so the employee sentiment, and we measure that as quantitatively as we can, but we also have a number of qualitative surveys that we do. So oftentimes we do a baseline survey, and then based on that baseline number, we then measure it again at the 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, and so on. With PwC, we were able to really change the way that they're doing traditional wellness programs. I mean, they always have these like lunch sessions and all these great in-person sessions, but the problem is that people are busy, and they're busy urbanites that are early in their careers. So you end up with people that are very motivated to learn, but do not have the time to learn. So it's really interesting in the dichotomy where they want all these resources, they do want these, lunch and learns and these sessions and group sessions and social sessions, but then the turnout rates were very low. It was below, I can share the fact that it's below 10%. But we were able to hit 74% engagement literally right out of the gate within the first month, because it was digital. People were downloading these apps and were getting on it, and they were using it consistently. And it really kind of helped them improve their awareness, which really helped them improve their health. There was a lot of, we did the surveys, we did the 90-day surveys. It was a huge improvement. And a lot of times, especially around stress levels, because young staff, they just don't have the tools in their tool set to be resilient yet. So teaching them these things really, really help, especially during audit season, which for them is a busy season. So the main things that we were tracking for that is really around reduction of attrition. So those are the kind of the leadership KPIs that the HR team would track. But for us, we're supporting it too with engagement. On the Ontario Centres of Excellence, it was really interesting because they had 11 work sites. So there were many different, I guess, geographies for two ladies in the HR department to manage. And that became just a logistical issue when they were trying to run STEPS Challenge and different type of successful programs. So they're trying to run all these programs, very ambitious, awesome ladies, and but across 11 different offices, it was just really hard. So saving them time for HR to do these programs, and then what a successful program would be is that the fact that the people would actually come onto the program, high engagement, 4 times higher engagement prior to Optimity, 25% improvement from previous years, employee engagement. So those are 2 different types of engagements. I'm sure you're well aware, but really, really good quantitative numbers. And then the third one is the most quantitative study we've ever done. It's with a carrier. So we're kind of really looking at the historical claims for a particular company. So this is a CST, Canadian Scholarship Trust. They're a great company. And they've been running on-site programs, on-site meditation programs, physical challenges. They have a wellness day, but those things didn't have an impact. They didn't have an impact to change back pain, right? Their CEO actually had sciatica as well, and it's so interesting. She downloaded the app onto her phone, and it made time for her to do these small exercises. And we were tracking their drug costs, right? So their year-over-year growth was 20%, which was actually quite common. I hear this story more and more. So it came down. So it came down significantly. They were tracking it themselves. And we were able to save them $331 per employee in 2016, and all they changed was to go digital with their wellness program. So that was really awesome. We love hearing stories like this. There's many, actually. We track them with every single client. So if you want to do any sort of experimentation and understanding how this could impact you quantitatively, definitely reach out to us. I love that. It's where, I mean, this is where we get our own engagement. We feel really connected to the company. Some of the other things about impacting what reduces engagement, I get asked to explain this chart quite a bit, so I'm just going to explain it here as well because it's important to understand why things are not working. It's not necessarily the fact that it's just mechanism wise, right? It's not necessarily the vendor's fault at all. A lot of it is just because it's the science, the physics of how that works. So the first one I'm going to talk about is wellness portals. And that's the line that you see here. It looks almost like a heartbeat. You see blips appear. And these things, the reason that these only have very low regular engagement and then you have these blips is because this is one from actually a US partner. It's heavily incentivized for them to come in and do a health risk assessment. And then they come in here and they get their, X dollars and then they leave, right? Because there's not a daily need for it. They're kind of coming in here for the incentive. Then you end up with this type of like blip. So it becomes really kind of seasonal and very incentives driven. The second one that is this nice smooth curve that comes up around 30% and comes back down. And this is actually quite normal for health apps. I get asked this not so much this year because I think people are like much more well educated now, but I would say 2 years ago we were like, oh, Optimity is a health app. It's not really a health app because usually what a health app is, it doesn't have a background AI driven type of content. It doesn't have a lot of things that change and it doesn't adapt. So what happens with these health apps that you can download them, they're usually free or you pay something for them, a few dollars, and then people will adopt them. But because it doesn't actually adapt to first of all, your company message, your company group, or gets to know your people, people do drop off. So first of all, you don't get that big uptake in the first place, and then it drops off eventually too. So it's just not designed for the particular use of wellness as a company run program. The third one is really around wearables, and this was also a huge trend. I think it's less of a trend now, although there's more adaptation of it for the consumer market. It's kind of companies buying Fitbits, right? Or company buying like Fitbits for everyone, and we've heard a lot of these stories. And it's exciting. So what happens when you spend money on all these Fitbits is that because it's not really kind of people have distrust. So first of all, you don't get the 100% adoption, right? So you don't get the 100% adoption. And then you also get these interesting cheating behaviors where people are attaching it to their dogs or whatever it is. So it's kind of interesting. You do have this droppage or wastage of dollars of the amount of money that you spent on the people who are not using it, but you do get a nice bump, right? It's really impressive in terms of adoption in the first place. So that's really good. It shows promise, but then it drops off because it again lacks adaptation to your corporate, your company initiatives, all these different things. You do get a dashboard, but it's not really kind of, it's not meant for holistic health, work, stress management. It doesn't have that type of stuff. So it does come off and then people forget to wear them. They charge it, they forget to charge it, something happens. So you do have this drop off after a few months. And then the last one I would warn is probably the most ineffective, and it still happens a lot, but it could be remedied. It's classroom coaching. There's a lot of classroom sessions, experts come in. I do think those things are good, but they really never have long-term effects. And we were using these, as patient advocates in the clinical setting too, but without a protocol, without a follow-up session to check how they're doing, it really has no effect. So this is the super light blue line here, where it's very useful. Everyone's talking about it the first week, and then it has no effect after. So these are the curves that you're used to seeing, and I'm sorry that you've been seeing this so much. And in your own context, you probably don't see them all at once. But what we did is that we studied this and we changed it. So if you look at our curve, it looks like this. And in the platform, we show you the curve literally on the right-hand corner. You can see it on the day-to-day. We're totally not afraid to show this to you. And this is kind of our promise to engagement as well. So I mean, I love all the tech world. I love what Fitbit's doing. We actually work with them. We connect with them. They're one of the best connected devices. There's a number of other ones too. We connect to the phone directly. So that actually helps in a sustained long-term usage. But a lot of the viral factors of the app itself. So you being the first user on it, when you invite other of your colleagues, you actually get extra points for them. So it really kind of contributes to this, what's called an S-curve in the tech adoption cycle. So getting this curve is really, really nice. So we get really, really good usage here. This usually ends up with, at the end of the month, anywhere between, I would say, 70% and 90%. I think the highest ones we've gotten twice is 92. We've hit 92 twice. But this is the number that you kind of see, but usually in the 70s. And then it'll sometimes go up a little bit more, but then it'll drop, and that's normal. So this is when people are, they get distracted, right? You can do health for a bit, you sometimes forget, but that's okay. So you're still gonna get a good percentage, around 30% of your people that are coming back, and that's perfect. This is a group that you wanna, think of it as the lady that we saw earlier, that group, she's personally motivated, she wants to do small stretches, she wants to do that, and that's great. But then the key here is to use that group to motivate the rest and to get them back on. So it's kind of the second personality where they never really thought of health first, but they're becoming cognizant. They do realize, oh my gosh, I'm more energetic, I feel better, I want to do this community positive, I want to self-train, I wanted that. So then you see this rise afterwards. So we have clients now that are on this for their third year, oh my gosh, and they're still sustaining 60 to 70% in terms of user engagement, and that's great. And that's what we want to see. And this is a type of curve, this is not only in an Optimity curve. If you go look up tech hype curve, this is what you see for a lot of sustainable technology. So if you look at the adoption curve of like the internet, or the adoption curve of calendar or email, you're actually going to see very similar curves to this. Some of them are at different stages or different numbers, but here I am presenting our number. And I'm happy to talk about the science behind a lot of the little things that we do, such as calendar sync and different things like that, to sustain this kind of trajectory. Yeah, Taz, I'm going to hand it back to you to talk about some of the new things.
Thanks, Jane. So the Optimity experience, like when you have these notifications popping up on your phone, they play as a reminder for you to have a quick stretch. Like I really love it when I'll get a little thing and it's like, oh, time for a break. A lot of times we need these reminders. You have the option to turn it off, but I personally like to keep them on, because if it's not there, I'm just gonna be hunched over on my computer working away until like it's time to go home, and by the time I leave, I'm gonna be really exhausted. So these announcements with the Optimity experience is amazing. With micro activities, we've learned that small actions lead to bigger actions. So that's basically when you have people doing like 30 seconds to 2-minute activities, they're more likely to adapt those habits into their life. So although like with the experience, they're doing these things at work, you can see them follow through with these at home. I don't know about you, but sometimes what I do is like some of the stretches I'll get on my app, it'll tell me to do a shoulder stretch, or it'll have these reminders that I do at work. But sometimes when I'm at home, also working on things, or just my daily life, I'm bound to do it. And also when I'm doing it, I tend to share with others what I'm doing, because people get curious about what you're doing and they want to know. So it's a great way to incorporate it in your life, but also in the lives of others. So for this, it's kind of, with employees, we provide them with healthier choices. So this is, like little activities based on food, or like little challenges. I love like the group challenges that we have. So, when we incorporates like the social connectedness and grow friendship, like this is a great way to bring about engagement, because we have these opportunities to call on others to join us in the activities that we're doing. And for the organization, you can see the reflection with their productivity. So if you have these engaged employees, the organization will see this in like the results that will bring out, because you're boosting their morale, and as a result, they're doing better work.
So yeah, so this is, I'll chime in here. This is the health state type of surveys that we do to track the number at the beginning and at the end. And we usually measure them at 7 different levels, but this could be tweaked for you depending on what you're measuring. So usually it's around stress, energy, posture, activity, hydrating, thinking positively, and then taking breaks, taking stretch breaks. So this is for back pain. We look at the standard deviation and the average score after a measured time. So this is a 90-day measurement. And then we'll compare that to where you are at baseline. So you can see actually as a leading indicator before you even track claims, or if you can track claims, that you're looking at a better number for your group as a health outcomes.
So let's summarize what we went through together today. We talked about the importance of implementing a workplace wellness program with a focus on employee engagement. With more than half of you, I believe it was about 77%, you were to learn about employee engagement. So hopefully you got to learn a lot about it. We went over the top 3 practice tips for employee engagement, which were investing in your employees, focusing on employee well-being, and promoting a collaborative work environment. We also discussed a case study by Jan Hewitt on the effectiveness of employee engagement on companies. And lastly, we touched upon the use of technology to manage a healthy lifestyle. We can help you maintain a work environment with a more productive and engaged employees, which benefits both the employees and the employers. If you're interested in learning more about creating a healthy workplace campaign and engagement strategy, please reach out to us at engage@myoptimity.com or to me directly at tasneem@myoptimity.com. Thank you and have a great rest of the day.